right, welcome to the podcast. Today, I'm excited to have our guest, Mike Gold. Mike is a CrossFit Grandview legend. So I like
no pressure.
Yeah, exactly. So I think my favorite guests are kind of guys like Mike, and we had Julianne on, and people who have I think it just resonates more with me at this point, and where I'm at with training is just to watch people who have sustained a really high level of training for a really long time. And Mike, I really have enjoyed watching Mike because I've sort of tried to do and emulate some of the things that Mike does in the way that, like, Mike has done a really good job of, doing this for 15 years, and you can't necessarily burn white hot and do, competitive CrossFit year after year after year. There's going to be some years where, life is going to shift you and move you around. And Mike has rolled with that really well, shifted focuses, done some different things like triathlons and power hour. And, we'll get into some of that. And, I think we'll just start. I'll kind of turn this over to Mike. And, I'd just like to start with, what was your sport and background as a kid, and just training, give me a little synopsis from being a kid through college, and then we'll kind of pick up CrossFit here in a little bit.
Yeah, I grew up on a small farm, so hard work, baling hay, kind of transitioned into me doing that, and then football was my sport, from flag football all the way up. I kind of got to high school and decided that I potentially wanted to try to play college ball, so I focused on that. I think it was freshman year in high school. I decided, all right, no more basketball. I'm going to just focus on just hitting the weight room, trying to get stronger, try to maintain weight. And it's funny because freshman year in high school, I was 5'10", 135 pounds.
Okay, so you were kind of a lanky kid?
Yeah, I was just a little scrawny kid. Sophomore year, got up to 170. Junior year, 200. And then senior year, I played football around 215. And I had, hit puberty, so I was 6'2", 215.
Yeah.
So playing.
That's gaining a lot of size.
Yeah, and
that's a pretty even progression through school. Just every year you're probably growing an inch or two, putting on another 20 pounds.
Right.
Yep.
And then we were just following the bigger, faster, stronger Monday, Wednesday, Friday program in high school football. And it's funny now doing CrossFit, your hips got to be below your knee to hit parallel. Well, we used to have these things that you wrapped around your leg, and it beeped when you potentially were hitting parallel. The coaches had us wear these it was almost like a beep test. You're not deep enough, so you beep. So
we had some of those too. I don't know how accurate they were. If depending on how you squatted, or different shaped legs or positions, I don't know if it was accurate, but it was a pretty good way of trying to get people to get low. But I do remember those. Yeah.
You've got to really police high school kids on squat depth, because they'll throw 4 plates on there and then just basically barely unlock their knees and try and bring it up, or
good old quarter squats.
So. That's cool. And that, those programs, as much as I think when we got into CrossFit early on, they're not complete full strength and conditioning programs with all different types of, you're doing a few basic movements over and over again, but they're really effective, and especially over a long period of time, obviously from the results guys like you, Dave, got through doing those for 4 years, season after season, it produces really good results, and you get strong if you do them consistently for a long time. Yeah, I think people now forget about those, and it's a great way, I think, to start kids out. So as a high school football player, what position or positions did you play?
I played tight end and outside linebacker in high school.
Okay.
Got recruited as tight end. Went and played NAIA ball down in Union College in Southeast Kentucky. Just small school. About every student that went there played a sport.
Okay.
So it was kind of cool that it was just a school full of athletes, basically.
Yep.
A couple local people, but did that. And talking about the weight, so like senior year of high school, I was 215. I went into college freshman year at 225. Sophomore year, 250. And then junior, senior year, I was around 265, 270.
Wow.
So,
you like doubled your weight then from 15 to what, like 20?
21. Yeah.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
insane.
So, and I think I even think like maybe like between sophomore and junior in college, I feel like I even like maybe grew like half inch to an inch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So from what the measurements they had taken like freshman year to when they did all the measurements and our strength tests and everything.
Wow, that's insane.
So.
Did your body hurt? Did you have like knee pain or anything like that?
I never did have any like growing pains.
Yeah.
So I feel like I grew at like a steady rate.
Yeah.
Now you know, going from 225 to 265 in 2 years, get some stretch marks and things. But I was also played tight end freshman year, and then I got moved to the defensive coordinator and D-line coach. Kind of asked the head coach, "Hey, can Mike play D-line?" So I was a decent sized kid for NAIA ball. So I ended up playing strong side defensive end, and then in like passing situations played like a nose tackle just because I was a little bit quicker than the big 300-pound D tackles. So I needed to have some mass to hold up against double teams and things like that on the front. So
what type of farm did you grow up on?
We mainly had beef cattle. So me and my dad we fed 15 to 20 head in the feedlot, and we sold it to our friends and family for like freezer beef.
Yeah.
And then I showed cattle. Was in 4-H and FFA all through childhood and high school. And for one of my FFA projects, and I showed cattle, was we had like 5 cows that we would like artificial inseminate, and then we'd have calves like in the springtime.
Yeah.
And we'd for like a little hobby, we'd sell that to some kids at the fair, and they would raise them and show them at the county fair.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So did that, and then me and my sister both showed lambs. She was more into the lambs. I was more into the steers and logs.
Yeah.
But just every day before football practice, I would wash my steer, go to football practice, come back. Usually I had a little lawn care business. I would do that, bale hay for the local farmer, which I think everyone needs to bale hay once or twice in their life.
I escaped that on my farm. I was lazy.
Did that. So it was cool just seeing being in the ag side of things, and seeing the cattle every day, and then being able to have it on your plate to eat. It was cool. So
get to understand that process a little bit better.
Right. Start from a 400-pound calf to a 1,300-pound calf, to be able to see them daily.
Yeah.
So.
And I know this is a little off topic, but do you sell feed now to?
I sell calcium carbonate, which is one of the central minerals into animal nutrition, animal diets. So it's a big user in the poultry industry to help develop the table egg that most of us, if we eat eggs, you're cracking an egg every day.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. It's kind of cool to be able to do something in that field,
Right.
they kind of grew up in. That's neat.
Yep.
So moving through college, you finish up college football. Probably not too long after that is when I started to bump into you. And then, so you're weighing 260 pounds, getting out of school. Is that right around the time you started to find CrossFit, or how'd you run into it?
I did. So I was done with football November of 2009. Finished up winter semester. Come home for Christmas break, and my mom and dad are like, "We're going to a new gym. You should try it out." I'm like, "What's this?" I'm used to the Gold's Gym, legs on Monday, Tuesdays back, Wednesdays, bis and tries type deal. And they're like, well, it's kind of cardio based. And I was like, oh, I don't need to be 265 anymore. I'd like to lose some weight after ball. So I ended up trying it. It was CrossFit Code, which was down in Lancaster, Ohio. Greg Smith was the owner of the gym at that time.
Did your parents always work out?
They did. Growing up, I always remember my mom at the Y playing. They were big into racquetball, when I was young, and then through high school and stuff, my dad was always like biking or running
cool.
local 5Ks at different festivals and things.
Okay.
So that's how I kind of got
That's
into running. But so yeah, winter 2009 is when I first stepped into the first CrossFit gym. The weight stuff was okay. When they had to get me on the pull-up bar, I was like, oh man, I think I had 2 green bands or a green band and a black band trying to do pull-ups because I was doing I think our weight program had us doing in college 2 sets of 10 of strict pull-ups, and it was like, sweet, I got through 2 sets of 10. I'm done with pull-ups. Give me a power clean or a back squat. And
you're definitely not doing them real out of breath, probably either.
Right. So it was good to have the baseline foundation of the strength. Stepping into the CrossFit.
Because I remember seeing you. It couldn't have been that long after. It was at there was a competition. Was it at the Arnold or somewhere? It wasn't the sectional. Maybe it was the year after that. Was it in 2011?
Yeah, 2011. I came up from. I was living in Georgia, but I came up for the Arnold to see my parents, and then the Arnold was going on, and I did the CrossFit competition there.
I remember because Dave was doing it, I think, and then you were. And was there some sort of a grace event, like a team grace event there? I vaguely remember grace, and I remember you on a 135-pound barbell, and you had maybe lost a little weight from football, but you were, a good like solid 235 or so. Just like
that competition, I remember I dropped that summer to winter. I was around that 230, and I was like,
good memory.
Yeah, I was like, I remember doing that. That was my first CrossFit competition. We did Fran because I watched Miko, Dan Bailey, Rich Froney, Camille, all do Fran right before they let I guess the pros went, and then they let the entries.
I'm almost positive Dave did that competition because I remember being there.
Didn't they have the wall there?
Yeah, they had the wooden wall.
They had the wall from the 2010 games where you climbed the rope and you had the overhead squats.
I
don't think it was a regional qualifier. I think
it was just a for fun thing. I remember you kind of got matched up with someone random, and I just remember this poor this guy was. It wasn't he was he'd be an okay guy in a class, but you guys were doing some sort of team grace event, maybe 3 of you, and then, a 135-pound clean and jerk was probably 85% of a 1 rep max for this guy. They probably would tap and go 10 to a dozen of these reps in a row, and then it was now you and this guy. He was catching it.
I don't know if I remember this.
I just remember watching it, and I was I'm gonna sound like a real jerk. But I was you were being nice, but you just had this really concerned look, and you were trying to be cool about it. And this guy just looked so distressed because he didn't want to let your little trio of people down. Because I think you guys just went in there and maybe got matched up with people or something. But it was he was just getting buried. And you were at your complete, that's what you were And you were a regional competitor at the top of the heap.
Not really caring how we do, just concerned that you're not going to get hurt yourself here. Yeah.
It was so funny to me though. I was like, oh God. Anyways, I think that's that. Again, my memory's a little hazy because it's 14 years ago. But that's where I think I met you there, Mike. Because you came, somehow we ended up bumping into each other and talking, and you mentioned something about moving back, and maybe you were going to drop in because your parents, you know, lived not too far. The community was small then, so like it was, you know, CrossFit Code out in Lancaster or Rogue and Gehanna, you know, 50 miles away from each other.
Right.
Okay, well, hold on. Let's rewind. So you tried CrossFit Code, and you liked it. How long were you back home?
So that was like 3 weeks for Christmas break.
Okay.
And then I followed CrossFit Doc. I went back to college for spring semester, and I just did basically 5 days a week. I just did CrossFit.com workouts.
Oh, cool.
CrossFit.com workouts, basically 5 days a week, just in the football training room, and then we had the football field right there. So I remember my first like 400 meters of lunges. It was one of the CrossFit.coms. Like 400 meters lunges. I remember going the perimeter of the football field, and I didn't walk for like a week afterwards. So I'm like,
we did that at the old Rogue. I like that workout.
Yeah, I'm like,
Graham put that in there.
Oh my, this is. I guess this is CrossFit. So then I, after I graduated from college, spring of 2010, I moved to Columbus, Georgia, and that's when I joined CrossFit Inception, which is CrossFit Sacrifice now, down there.
What brought you to Georgia? Job?
My roommate in college for all 4 years, his family owned a construction company, grading and excavating, and they build custom homes. And so me and my roommate, every summer, I lived with them, and we did construction, 10 hours a day, and then we would go lift for football in the evenings. And then his dad offered me a job after college, so I stayed down in Georgia for about a year and a half doing construction and CrossFit. So
if we want like our kids to be in shape like you, they just have to start when they're like 5 baling hay.
Just get blue collar jobs.
Okay. Yeah. And then you got to go into football.
They're not.
And then you got to work construction in the summer.
Yeah. No, it is.
Yeah. You're like, we're wondering why you're like so sturdy and in such good shape all the time. You've got like years, like decades and
nice
decades.
20-year base of hard labor.
That's funny.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, the construction and then CrossFit. I went from, like you said, you remember me at like around 230, 235.
Yep.
That summer of 2011, the lightest I got down to was like 205 pounds.
Oh, okay.
Was that working construction?
I was doing construction, and then evening I would go do CrossFit. And I mean, that was basically
hard to keep those calories and
22, 23 years old.
Yeah.
I just CrossFit and work construction, and I mean, down in this Georgia heat, it's I mean, we were going through
brutal
3 or 4 pairs of clothes a day. I mean, it was hard labor, but
I trained a guy for a bodybuilding show that worked construction, and we could not keep weight on him. I was like, no cardio ever, and he'd have to eat. I can't imagine how much you would have to eat, like doing CrossFit and in the Georgia heat, like just to keep weight on. Right. But he would just drop. Yeah,
I did concrete work for a whole summer where we would, break up driveways and, lay concrete and do all of that. And, I mean, I was just like general, like they wouldn't even have me sawing, like doing the like technical stuff. It was just like moving rocks. And, I only worked every other day, and I would just have to that was this summer that I did that. I would eat, 2 Chipotle burritos at lunch sometimes. Yeah. And I'm not a big dude either. Yeah. And I had to do it just to make it through my day. Yeah. So I've done some work like that where it's like, I can resonate with it. It was like, that was the hardest job I definitely ever had. It was fun, but it was like physically the most demanding thing I think I've ever done. So, okay, you got into CrossFit, and then when you moved back from Georgia, is that when you came to Rogue?
Yep.
Okay.
I knew of Graham from winning the 2010 games, and I was like, what gyms he go to? And pulled up CrossFit, Rogue or Gehanna, and I was moved back. I was living with my sister and brother-in-law while I worked for a company. And that was the closest gym. And so
was that in 2011?
Yeah, 2000.
Yep.
Yeah, 2011.
So I remember meeting you then.
Right.
And that's when I joined.
Okay.
Yep.
Gym. Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, joined there because I was like, I need to go from CrossFit Inception. It was a good community, good guys down there.
Yep.
And I wanted to come up here, and I was like, oh, if Graham's training out of here, there's going to be some other athletes training out of here. Might be a good one for me to. I was trying to get into competing a little bit more in CrossFit, so I was like, if I go to this gym, I'll probably get pushed a little bit. And I mean, 15 years later, I'm still doing it, still doing it, and still getting pushed every day. So
yes,
it gets harder and harder.
I was gonna say, so you just from my memory, you were like, Mike, he was competing in 2011, but he ended up being an alternate on our 12 team, and then he was on our 2013 regional team, 14 regional team, 15 games team. So basically 4 years you were on, 4 straight years you were competing on the team, culminating in that big games run that landed us in, we ended up finishing in 8th place. And that was, I think I'd love to tell a story real quick. And the guy who ended up being on the team the following year, so Mike and Austin were, and that was at the peak of the Open when, maybe, I don't know, almost twice as many people probably did it as they do now. And worldwide, I think you guys were separated by like a spot. So it came down, and you guys have very similar like strengths and, so it came down to the last workout, and it wasn't weighted really to either person. It was 27-21 down to 9 of rowing and thrusters. And
I remember that one.
Yeah. And so we surrounded Mike and Austin with on Saturday when we do our Open, we surrounded them with everyone in the gym.
It was so fun.
In a big circle.
For us to watch.
Yeah.
That one hurt.
We had there's a video. It's on YouTube. You can find it. It's for some reason the video quality on that one particularly is maybe shot off a phone, which weren't the best in 2015, but they went at it, traded leads a couple times early on in the workout, and then towards the middle or the end, Mike started to stretch out a little bit on him. But it was close. I mean, it wasn't like you beat him by, minutes. It was still, it was within a few reps by the end of it. It was a tight race.
I think he broke at the 21 or 15 on the thrusters, and I was like, I'm not dropping this damn bar. So.
Yep.
What I remember about that is you had them like face each other with their rowers.
Oh yeah,
so it was like super intense. It was like a face off. Yeah.
I was staring Austin in the eyes out every stroke on the rower and every thruster. I'm like,
you just had this crazy look in your eyes. I'm like, I think Mike's going to do it.
It was just such a good race, and I really want to give Austin a shout out. This is a young kid at the
19.
time. Yeah, this kid, he's a freaking, this kid's a college kid, and Mike's got a lot of experience, and he didn't back down at all. We're like, hey, I'm explaining to him, this is how we're going to pick the team. Are you good with this? I want to make sure everyone's okay. Because everyone's putting in a ton of work all year. It's tricky to pick these teams. And I'm like, this is the fairest way. You guys are, you got to, it's like a wrestle off or something. You got to just see who's going to win this workout.
It's like the Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
We just watched an episode about that.
But it was.
I'm glad I didn't have to wrestle him.
Yeah, no, I know. But it was like you guys were just big, strong dudes, and it was just with big engines, and it was it was to this day, I've seen a lot of cool moments in CrossFit. Of course, Graham winning, Kiri carrying Elise on her shoulder, and then both hitting a muscle up with 1 second to go to send our team to the games. There's some wild moments, but that one right there is one of, if not the most hardcore moments I've ever seen. Is two dudes, no one backing down, and just we're gonna go at it with a full crowd. That is every bit as intense as boxing matches and stuff I've had where what I've seen people do, and it's just that was a cool moment. And I think that even set the tone for just the team. you guys went into that regional, which was a complete freaking like, I mean, that regional was as competitive as the games. The team, I think all the teams that went through our regional were all in the top 10 of the games.
Yeah. Where was that regional that year?
Minnesota.
And Minneapolis. Yeah, all the top five. Okay. Top five in that. Well, I think then it was like a super regional. Yeah, they all. I think it was like top 10 or
2015.
Top 11 at the games.
Yeah.
So
Because when you guys went to the games,
Yeah, I mean, and it was, so, Mayhem won. I mean, we were in second at one point in that games, second place. We had, you guys were just super fit and could run, and our team could run and could freaking just like, you guys had a ton of capacity. Right? She wasn't on the team that year. Okay.
I was going to say.
She was there, though. She was competing that year on, and she didn't do, they did that mile relay, and she had closed that gap in her game a little bit. She got a little better.
I remember she stayed that.
Yeah. I think.
Little shout out to Elisa.
Yeah, that was like a all 6 athletes had to run a mile. It was like a mile relay, and I think every athlete on our team did a sub 6 minute mile.
Yeah, that was so fun to watch. That was one of my favorite events to watch.
We took second. We almost won. We were winning at one point. I think the team that beat us sent an anchor leg that just freaking went. Like, the guy just
probably sub 5.
Yeah, he took off. Like, it wasn't like, we were all consistent. Like, I think we're all running around a 6 minute mile or sub 6, but everyone was almost the same. It was kind of crazy. Like, no one was like, guys or girls, like, no one was too far off one another. That team it was a cool year. That was a really cool year. And then, after 4 years, and I always think, personally, like, I had a run a little earlier in it, and after about 4 years of really going for it, I certainly I was burnt out. I needed a break from it. And right around then that's when you kind of slowed down, like right around like 2016, 17 for a minute.
Right after the games, I kind of, Mila was 2 years old at that time. And,
Mila was born in 14?
13.
13, okay. 13.
So yeah, she was a little over 2 then. So I kind of stepped away. It was just a lot of time in the gym for both parents to be, trying to push CrossFit at a competitive level. So I stepped away and changed my career a little bit. I was working at Nationwide, and I took a management role with a different company, which put in a lot longer days than at Nationwide. So I kind of stepped back from the time in the gym, which was that year and a half was the worst. I went from in the best shape of my life to the worst shape of my life, sitting in a damn cubicle for 12 hours a day. So
it's also probably depressing to do that too, if you're used to like moving around so much.
It was. So the rest of 2015, 2016, 2017. And then 2018, I took a sales role job that I'm still with the same company.
You got it going that year again too. I remember 2018, you came back into the Open, and then I think you did well. It was and then in 19, I think you were like maybe second in the gym. Like, you were right up at the top of the heap. It was kind of when they, defunded CrossFit, but like, you like had a hell of a run, like, after you kind of made that comeback into it.
Right. Yeah. A little more flexibility with the job allowed me to, set my schedule and get back into the gym. And 2018, 2019, I was training 2 or 3 times a day.
Yeah, you got back into it. I remember me, you, and Tyler were doing a lot of the open workouts and stuff together. That those years, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I was doing the CrossFit, the all levels class, and then immediately after what I was calling a cool down, I was doing 800 meters walking lunges. So I was on that Corey G. Lunging, and I went right into it. I didn't do the 400 meters for a streak. I just went 800, but it was good. I just kind of shut the brain off and went.
Yeah,
so
that's cool. That's really cool.
Then late 2019, I was kind of having some nagging injuries, so I'm like, I want to try Power Hour. So I went to Grandview Barbell, and I started doing that.
You got like college strong again.
Yeah, I actually PR'd my back squat by 30 pounds, or not back squat, deadlift by like 30 pounds after one like 10 or 12 week cycle through the barbell side.
I remember you were moving some.
So
what was it? What's your PR?
545.
Wow.
So that was a lifetime. In college, I did around like 520, 525. Still haven't hit my PR in bench and back squat, but I don't think I will.
Well, you have to hit a different,
different body weight.
Yeah.
So.
Well, your leverages are different on. You can still pull heavy when you're a little lighter on deadlifts, but your leverages when you get bigger for benching and squats. I was talking to what's his name? Suddenly like slipping. Jack's guy down in Cincinnati who
Shane Sweat?
Yeah, Shane. Gosh. Shane was talking about, because, he's lost a ton of weight from his powerlifting days. And when we were down there, he's like, a lot of it is he's just like, I don't lift. I lift like 50% of what I was because my leverages are different. Like when you're, when you weigh 270, your chest comes that much farther off the bench, like your chest is like a floor press now, and then like your squat, like your hamstring and calf are smashing into each other and pressing you up. But when you're skinny and light, like you have all this like range of motion and, that you wouldn't have. But on a deadlift, it's the same no matter what. So I never even put that together until he told me. He's like, oh yeah, like I'm squeezing myself into a suit and like doing this. And just like I've got, my chest is that far off the bench. And I'm like, oh man, I wouldn't have even thought about that. He's like, yeah, I have half the range of motion that I have now. But yeah, I just remember you got so strong in there. That was really cool.
So that's 2019.
2019, and then that actually, we finished that cycle like a week before they shut the gyms down for.
Oh yeah.
For the shutdown.
What month and year did they shut down? Was it like March?
Yeah, it was like the end of March.
End of March 2020.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it was like St. Patrick's Day, something like that. Because I remember being at the Pint House, and then like there was like protesters out there like throwing cups and stuff at us, like you're gonna get sick and all this stuff. And me and Sam are like,
wait,
what's going on? And we're like, it's like if this is our last
right.
like night, we're
last hurrah, let's go.
And then DeWine shut it down. Then that Sunday afternoon at like 12 o'clock, I was watching the news and. Yeah, everything got shut down.
We were out with Dave and Chelsea the Saturday before Sunday it was the night before they shut it down. We thought we had a few weeks left. I remember that. Like, I remember like being at dinner and we're like, yeah, we might get shut down for a week or two until this thing passes in a couple of weeks because it's starting to make its way from the East Coast. It was like the next day, like they just shut. I think they shut all the restaurants down and then the gym got shut down Monday night, I think.
Is that when you started running?
Started running, and I had a little bit of equipment. We just go to the right next to Barbell. There's that park, right? I forget that Catholic church right there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'd take a basketball. We'd shoot basketball, sandbag, a sled, and just make up workouts. Just kind of in the.
Is that where they have like the pull-up bars? Did we do a photo shoot with Mike there? If they have pull-up bars? Oh, I'm thinking
they got a playground there.
Yeah, playground. So. We'd run and do stuff like that.
Okay.
Actually, right before I got into that Power Hours when I did my first half marathon. When I ran with Rex.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think I kind of remember that. All right. And then did that kind of give you the bug to?
I did that running. I think I just kind of signed up for it to try. I'd never ran a half marathon, so I followed Chris Henshaw's 13-week program. It got me pretty fast. I ran like a 7:45 pace for that.
That's really good, man.
At 220 pounds, so I was happy with that.
Oh yeah, that's
Rex helped me. He ran side by side with me the whole whole race.
Cool.
So that helped kind of keep me in check.
Man, I when we did the pump and run a few years ago, like I was in pretty good 5K shape. I'm like, man, Rex is like damn near 60. Like I can beat Rex in a 5K. I know I can. And I was dead wrong. Like we got out and I can get out pretty fast and then I'm like, okay, man, he's getting out there. I'm like, I'm just going to keep my eye on him. And
he'll wear you down.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a long race. And I'm just like, oh, no.
He's very consistent. Yeah, he doesn't get tired.
You know, I think I ran under 22-minute 5K, like a pretty good one. You know, it was like, I think just under a 7-minute pace. But he was gone. There was no catching that guy. Like, and I'm like, he's like 60 years old. I was just
he's got that candy in his pockets, probably. Yeah.
I was blown away. Like that guy is such a good runner, and he's got a lot of muscle on him. You know, that's pretty cool.
His cannolis while he's running.
So, Mike, you went from that, got really strong, and then you did basically the biggest endurance test you can really do. You know, I think it's like the gold standard. You did a full Ironman, right?
Yeah.
What was that like?
Yeah, 2021, end of 2021, old Greg Fletcher, old-time member, reached out to me. He's like, you want to do an Ironman? I'm like, shit, I can't swim. And he's like, I'll sign up and do it. And I'm like, no. Then we're looking at Lake Placid Ironman, and entry fees went up to like $2,000. I'm like, there's no way. There's no way I'm paying $2,000 to do a 17-hour race. And so we got looking, and he's a track coach in cross country, so we kind of had a window when he could do it. And we found one. It was the Des Moines, Iowa Ironman. So I said, screw it, signed up. It was still like $1,500. Crazy, but
that's a hell of an entry fee.
Now thinking about it, $1,500 entry fee. I didn't have a bike. Tyler Smith had a bike, so I bought that off of him. I think for like $600 or $700, and I upgraded a little bit. Got a membership at the Y, because the 30-week training program I was following that Greg gave me called for swimming like 2 or 3 times a week. I'd never swam more than 50 yards consecutively.
Just jumping in a pool and swimming over to the edge.
So like I'm like
where I would be at.
Yeah. So I'm like, I gotta figure out how to swim. So I was like picking the lifeguards' brains at the Y, and they're like, try this, try that, and so I've really focused on swimming. I'm like, that's the first part of the race. Like I don't finish the 2.4 mile swim. Like I'm not getting
that's
to the
I'm not getting way to swim, man.
I'm not getting to the bike. I'm not going to get to the run. So I'm like, I got to focus on that. So 2 or 3 days a week, I was at the Y swimming.
Did you freestyle the whole way?
I freestyled, and then I kind of did the side stroke.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, man, I go to a lot of side and breaststroke just to like
you go to the back a lot.
I would do a little elementary back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was cool. And then a couple weeks into the Ironman training, I found out that Pat was doing the same, had signed up for the same Ironman. So we had Greg Fletcher, Danny Valley, Pat, and then myself, all training for the same Ironman.
That's so cool.
So it was cool because Greg was a school teacher, so his I don't even know how much he really trained for the Ironman, but he crushed it. But Danny and Pat, we did a lot of bike training together.
Yep.
Out at Battelle, we'd go out on 40, 50-mile bike rides, and then
that's cool.
Come in, and they called them bricks. You'd go bike for 40 miles and get off, and then change your shoes and go for like a 6-7 mile run. So us three trained quite a bit together. So yeah, and then June 12th, 2022 was the Ironman, and to be considered an Ironman, you got to finish 2.4 mile swim, 112 mile bike, and then a marathon after that. And it was June 12th in Des Moines, Iowa. Started out cloudy and overcast, and by the time I started the marathon. It was over 100 degrees with like 98% humidity. It was like breathing in tar the whole time.
And where else were you going to do it? Lake Placid? Did you check the weather?
Lake Placid was going to be cooler, but the bike was going to be a lot tougher because there's more,
a lot of hills.
Going to be a lot more
and
hills.
you also saved $500, you know.
Yeah. So, but no, Des Moines was an awesome town to do it in. But it was hot. I mean, we got to the marathon, and I started out the first, like, there was 3 loops we had to do through, like, around the lake that we swam and then into downtown Des Moines. You had to do three loops basically to get your marathon in, and like 3 miles in on the run, I'm seeing people fall out like
because it was so hot,
full body cramps, just people. Like heat exhaustion, heat strokes. They were puking. The medics were carrying them out. And once you get an IV in a race like that, you're basically like
you're not allowed back.
You're DQ'd because it's considered like doping or whatever.
Yeah.
Even though you're trying to keep fluids in. So I'm like, man, all these people are dropping. I'm like, I dropped my pace. I was hoping to run like 10-minute mile paces in training, and it was so hot and muggy. Like I was. Like the last 12 miles of the race, I was like in a speed walk. I was just trying to. I was like, if I can hold this pace, I can make the time cut, which is 17 hours, and I came in at like 16 hours and 40 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
So it was a long day. I woke up at 3:30 in the morning to start getting food in, and I went to bed. I think at 11 o'clock, and I basically shook myself to sleep. After that race, I mean, it was just...
That is a long time. I mean, so 17 hours, you're just on the move. Like, you're racing for, longer than you're normally awake during a day.
Right.
You know?
It was an hour and 40... The 2.4 mile swim took me about an hour and 43 minutes, I think. Jeez. The 112 mile...
What's an average swimmer swim that in? Like, not the people who run that, but if you're a decent swimmer, you do it like an Ironman, how long does the 2.4 mile swim take?
Like hour and 10ish. Like that's
the thing that varies the most, isn't it? The swim. I mean, because I've only just done a sprint triathlon, but it's like good swimmers would do it in half the time as like normal people. I feel like that's the part of the event that really varies the most.
That bike really can too. I know. I remember watching and hearing about
the easiest part. You think?
I would say
the longest.
It was a grind, but like you're constant moving, like, as long as you're moving the pedals. The pros were doing the swim in 54 to 55 minutes. I think Pat did in like 110, 115.
That's awesome.
And I was like 145. But like Greg did it. Like 55, 56. He was right, like coming out.
He's in there with the pros.
He was coming in right with the pros, and then I think he did the 112 mile bike in like 4.5 hours, and I was 7 hours and 40 minutes. So I mean,
that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna put on a movie and tread water for an hour and 45 minutes and watch a movie. So
see how that translates.
Yeah, that's how long I can't touch the bottom. Like that's.
Greg's a hell of an endurance athlete. That's pretty wild. Like he is a very talented.
So I have a couple questions about that event. Did you have to use potassium a lot? Like, was that something you?
I took salt tablets and magnesium tablets. Pretty much about every 15 to 20 minutes in that race. And I had preloaded heavy on like Pedialyte and salt tablets leading up that whole week leading up to get it. But then once the race started, it was to stay ahead of my body, and the way I'm a heavy sweater anyways. And when it was that hot out, I had basically pouches that I would just leave open. I would reach in there and grab every 15, 20 minutes.
Magnesium keeps your muscles from locking up, like starting to cramp.
Yep.
My friend Cassie that did professional Ironman, I think she had to go to medic tent, something with like potassium in her heart or something. So she started like loading with that. And some of her, I was just wondering if you're sweating that much, if that's something you guys.
Yeah, I don't know all the in and outs of all the biochemistry.
I mean, she gets she has it all down to a science, and she won't share with anyone. She's like super parent.
Right.
She would like not even tell me. I'm like, I'm never even going to run one of these. It's fine.
Right.
And then did you lose your toenails?
I did. I lost both my big toenails. I wish I had took some pictures to show the camera, but yeah, I lost just the blisters. The blisters that I had on my heels and in between my toes, just because after biking for 7.5 hours, your feet are in that heat. Your body's already swelling up. So your feet were my ankles, my feet were already swollen. I changed my socks after the bike because I was drenched, and I put new socks on, put my shoes on, but I was like, I almost needed a size up on my shoes.
Wow.
I didn't really think about it for running because I trained in them, the same shoes for all the training, and I was like, I feel fine. Like, haven't got any blisters. Did a marathon, just run, felt fine in it, no blisters, and then my feet after the bike swelled up, and I mean all my toes had blisters in between them, heels. Both my big toes had blood blisters, and within a week or two they were completely off.
Wow. So wait, you need like socks, like mittens.
That's
like,
what
with
I was
each
actually
toe.
thinking.
Yeah, I mean they don't.
The individual.
Right.
That's a business idea there.
I think some people do. Some people do that. I had these Swift Kick like Iron Man socks that are supposed to help moisture wick and all that, but I mean
nothing was helping.
You're running the marathon. You're not stopping to a porta john. You're just you're pissing yourself and keep going. So same on the bike. Like, I mean. You're not gonna stop in the.
You're gonna stink anyways. You might as well make it worth it.
You're sweating so much and you're pouring water on you and stuff. Like you're kind of.
It all gets rinsed out. It's like you're in a pool, kind of. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Okay, so I wanted to, before we run out of time, I wanted to get into so this last year you did some other races and things like that as well on top of the Iron Man, and then this last year you started to get progressively back into CrossFit. Did the Open this year, had a good solid Open. You started to creep back into some of the level 2 classes, and then you did a qualifier and recently qualified for what was the competition?
It was the Masters Fitness Championship.
Very cool.
So they have age groups they're basically every 4 to 5 years, so 30 to 34, and then 35 to 39, which is the age group I'm in. So after the Open, I had an okay Open. For the last year, I've been just doing all levels consistently, just trying to get back in, breathe a little bit, work on all the movements. Did the Open, and I actually had signed up for this qualifier that was in June, early February as a goal, I want to qualify for this. So the Open was all right, see where I'm at, but that wasn't really the goal. The goal was to qualify for this competition in September, to see where I was.
Yep.
So first week of June, we had 4 workouts that we had to do online. So kept doing all levels, did those workouts, waited end of June, finally found out that I had qualified for the Masters Fitness Championship, which is September 27th through the 29th. So we got, 55 days till then. So I've been.
Where's it at again?
Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Okay, that's right.
So me and Julianne and I are out of the gym, and then I think there's 2 remote athletes, Chris and Heather. I think it's Pay. Sorry if I pronounce it wrong. That work with Drake and do the online programming. They qualified, I think, in the 30 to 34. So there should be 4 athletes out of Grandview, or coached by Grandview coaches that are going to be up there.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so I've been, ever since I've got the invite email, I've been in level 2, and the last 3 weeks I've been doing level 2 and getting worked pretty good, but it's each day is getting a little bit better, and
I think you're gonna do great.
I'll be ready come September.
You're gonna do great. You compete real well in those live competitions. Like you're a gamer. You always do a really good job. Like it favors you to be out there live and more so than I believe like doing burpee box jump overs, and redoing it on a videotape. Like I think you're an athlete that like you get out on the field, like it elevates you even more, and you recover well between workouts, and like you're a monster out there. So I think you're gonna do really well when you get there.
In person, I've always liked competing in person. Doing these online qualifiers, it's weird. I had to download an app, set the camera up. I'm not big on having a camera in my face all the time working out. It's like get in, work out, and get out of here. Like I'll show you what I've been doing. When it comes competition time, I don't need to show you every day. So
I know.
I don't know. That's me. It's times have changed, and everyone's got to show what they're doing every single day. That's not me. So
yeah, I know. What gets me is I'll see a lot of times, to each their own, but like people in a lot of times I think in like commercial gym settings, they're filming themselves doing like lat pull downs or accessory movements.
It's like really hardcore music.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. I'm like, man, if you're hitting like
nobody cares.
Yeah.
If you're hitting, I'm like,
forearm
so I
curl.
understand like an Olympic lift, like a heavy, you've trained for 10, 12 weeks and it's kind of culminating in like, you're showing a performance. Like I'm hitting this heavy lift or I'm doing a gymnastic move that is a kind of a cool thing or a challenging thing. But like a pin-loaded machine for reps, I'm like, no one wants to see that, but I don't know.
20 years ago, you'd be live streaming your hay baling. Like, check me out, guys. If you were a Gen Z, if you were a Zoomer right now, you'd be on a farm,
Right.
TikTok in your hay bales. You'd be making millions. But
No.
born too soon.
No, it's one thing if you're, you've been
Look at
training.
my steers, guys. I'm watching my steer.
Hell yeah. But no, it's I don't know. It's one thing if you've been training for 12 weeks and you post that you got you hit a 10 or 15 pound PR on a squat clean or a clean and jerk. Like you can show your highlights, but I don't know. Every day to me is a little excessive, but
I hear you.
whatever.
Well, Mike,
whole different topic.
Yeah. We can have
Whole
another
different
podcast on that.
Part 2.
No, man, I think, this is kind of a good spot to wrap it up. And I just wanted to say like, it hasn't gone without people noticing like you're like a real model for a member to evolve through this in a way where, I'll see people compete and then when they get a little cooked on it, they're just done training, and where you've stuck with it and you've been able to like pivot to different things to stay moving, to stay fit and stay engaged. And what inevitably happens is what you enjoyed before, like it kind of comes back around.
Right.
And it's really cool to watch you do that and stick around and like, go to the power hour, train for triathlons, use CrossFit as a bit of a base to stay fit and in shape and not be so stressed out that like you're not doing exactly what you were doing like 3 years ago all the time. And it's just like, it's a testament to like you kind of dropping your ego and being able to do that. And by doing that, you've stayed fitter than everyone else by just being able to like, stick with different things. So
It all comes around and helps you. I mean, even if you get away from CrossFit and you do power hour, when you if you come back to CrossFit, that power hour is only going to help you.
Yeah.
Same way with, if you want to take a time away and you want to focus on half marathon training or marathon training, that's only going to help you when you go do a CrossFit workout and you got 800 or like today's 1,200 meter run, 1,000 meter run, with a bike followed like that. That's only going to help your endurance. So it all comes back around to help. So don't be afraid to go a different direction for a little bit and you can always come back to it.
Well, Mike, thanks for coming on. Good luck with your competition. We'll be watching you training for it, bud.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, man.
tell you, I'm weighing